Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So we are on the sixth chapter of this book, Perfection of Yoga. And this sixth chapter is entitled The Fate of an Unsuccessful Yogi. So we have seen how Srila Prabhupada mentions, what actual yoga is, what yoga is not, and how to go about yoga, how yoga is bhakti, there's the topmost yoga, how it can actually bring us above designations, above distress, above problems in life. We can actually raise our consciousness when we start thinking on a higher level. Question naturally comes, what happens if someone who performs this yoga but is unsuccessful, unable to complete it? So that's today's discussion in this chapter. Prabhupada begins, it is not that Bhagavad Gita rejects the meditational yoga process. Okay, it's so Prabhupada here is like trying to reiterate, no? It's not that we are against Hatha Yoga or Raja Yoga or Dhyana Yoga, but it recognizes it as a bona fide method, but it indicates that it's not possible in this age. So we are not against the Ashtanga Yoga, but it's just not applicable in this age. Thus, the subject in the sixth chapter of Bhagavad Gita is quickly dropped by Sri Krishna and Arjuna asks the next question. Now Arjuna asks the next question after saying that, okay, fine. Ayati Shradayopeto Yoga Chalita Manasa Prapya Yoga Samsiddhim Kam Gatim Krishna Gachati. What is the destination of a man of faith who does not persevere, who in the beginning takes to the process of self-realization, but who later desists, stops, due to worldly mindedness, and thus does not attain the perfection of mysticism. So question is that a person who, has faith, but who does not endeavor for it. In the beginning starts the process, but later because of material attachment and material energy, material, absorption, the person stops it. So what happens to such a person? Prabhupada says, in other words, he is asking what becomes of an unsuccessful yogi, or a person who attempts to perform yoga, but somehow desists, does not succeed. It is something like a student who does not get his degree because he drops out of school, right? So what will happen to such a person? Elsewhere in the Gita, Sri Krishna points out to Arjuna that out of many men, very few strive for perfection, and out of those who strive for perfection, only very few succeed. This is actually a verse, translation of a verse in Bhagavad Gita. That's the 7th chapter, third verse. You can see it here on the screen. Krishna says, Manushyanam sahasreshu, thousands of men, sahasra, thousands of men are there, humans. Kashchit yayati siddhyate. But some of them, very few of them will become siddha, will become perfected. Yatatam api siddhanam, and of all those who are perfected, kaschin mam veti tatvata. Very few out of those actually understand who God is. So even among the perfected beings, to understand Krishna is very, very, very rare. Like that. So Arjuna is inquiring after the vast number of failures, because from Sahasreshu, only Tattvata is very few. So out of the whole populi, very few are going to actually understand Krishna. This is already mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, 7th chapter, 3rd verse. So what about the failing people? What about them? So then, even if a man has faith and strives for perfection in the yoga system, Arjuna points out that he may not attain this perfection due to worldly mindedness. A person is, thinking in worldly context. So living in this world, naturally, a person will think about maintaining the body, attachment to family, attachment to friends, attachment to things, attachment to the body designations. So this worldly mindedness is kind of like a very difficult to give up. So naturally, there are going to be a lot of failures. So how? Then Krishna, first Arjuna continues to express his point. He says, Kachinno bhayo vibrashtas, brashta means fallen. Chinna bhram iva nashyati, apratishto mahabaho vimudho brahmanapati. O mighty arm Krishna, Arjuna continues, Mahabaho, does not such a man, Kachin, being deviated from the path of transcendence, na ubhaya vibrashtas, he moves away from the path, perish like a riven cloud, nashyati, he gets destroyed like a riven cloud. Riven cloud means chinna abharam. So sometimes you see there's a lot of clouds in the sky, and suddenly there's a gush of wind, and then you see the cloud move, and there's like a small particle or part of the cloud that gets torn off, right? And it floats. That is known as a riven cloud because of the wind, right? A huge chunk of cloud is moving, and some small corner gets torn off. What happens after some time? That big chunk is still there, but the riven cloud, that small torn off part, disappears and dissipates in air, gone. So Arjuna is saying, those who fail in yoga, in mysticism, in trying to achieve perfection, aren't they not like this riven cloud? Hey Krishna, they are now torn away in due course of time. Nashati, they'll be destroyed. What about them? With no position in any sphere, so what to do? That's his question in the end of, towards the end of the 6th chapter. So Prabhupada says, when a cloud is torn apart by the wind, it does not mend back together again. And those who have observed the skies, you have seen this. In young time, when we used to travel, I remember I would always observe the sky and look at all the clouds. The country where I'm from, Malaysia, we have a lot of white clouds and big shiny clouds. Very quite cloudy. I used to just see, when we used to travel in the car, how the clouds are being forming shapes, bumping into each other, moving out on. It's like very amazing. So this is the doubt that Arjuna has, and Arjuna continues. Etan me shamshayam Krishna. This is the shamshaya. This is the doubt that I have. Chetum arhasi asheshata. Okay. What anya samshaya yasya? There's no one else who can destroy this doubt but you. Cheta nahi upapadyate. This is my doubt, O Krishna, and I ask you to dispel it completely. But for yourself, no one is to be found who can destroy this doubt. It's a very beautiful verse. Ultimately, we have all doubts and issues and confusions in life. Who do we turn to? Even if you turn to the best psychologists or psychiatrists, they can only give you some book knowledge, some experiential knowledge, but it's difficult, Many times we see psychologists and psychiatrists themselves become victims of their own treatments that they're giving. If they are treating a psychotic patient, sometimes the psychiatrist becomes psychotic, right? So hearing their problems, that affects the person. But Krishna is not like that. Krishna can give perfect solutions. And his perfect solution is in Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna is asking this question about the fate of an unsuccessful yogi so that in future people would not be discouraged. Beautiful. Because it's going to be tough. By a yogi, Arjuna is referring to the Hatha yogi, Jnana yogi, Bhakti yogi. It is not that meditation is the only form of yoga. Anyone who's trying to achieve perfection is a yogi. Again, what does the word yoga mean? To link. You're linking through karma, you're linking through jnana, you're linking through ashtanga, right? Meditation, or you're linking through bhakti. Yoga means to connect. Yoga, right? To connect. So anyone who's trying to connect with God to any of the bona fide paths of perfection, they are known as yogi. Right? The meditator, the philosopher, and the devotee. That means the jnani, right? The Ashtanga yogi or the jnani or the bhakta are all considered yogis. Arjuna is questioning for all those who are attempting to become successful transcendentalists. And how does Sri Krishna answer him? So it's not going to be easy. We know that. Krishna answers like this. Sri Bhagavan Vacha Partha Naiveha Namutra Vinashastasya Vidyate Nahi Kalyana Krit Kaschit Durgatim Tata Gacchati. Here, as in many other places throughout the Gita, Sri Krishna is referred to as Bhagavan. So Prabhupada takes a side track, just a little side track to explain, because this verse mentions Sri Bhagavan Vacha. Prabhupada thinks that, this is the best to establish Krishna's position as Bhagavan. Because now Krishna is going to advise Arjuna, right? When you're going to hear someone's advice, you're going to hear a lecture of someone, you need to make sure that you need to know this person. This person has good character. What's the background of this person? So naturally, Prabhupada here, in a side point, tries to clarify or understand this position of Krishna as Bhagavan. So what is this Bhagavan? This is another of Lord's innumerable names. He's called as titles that God has. Bhagavan indicates that Krishna is the proprietor of 6 opulence. Bhagavan, one who has 6 opulence. Like sometimes in Hindi language, or even in some words in my own Malaysian language, Malay, they say Dharmavan, right? That means one who has Dharma, Dharmavan, like that, right? So Dhanavan means one who has wealth. So similarly, Bhagavan, that means one who has Bhaga. Bhaga here means opulence. Okay. What are the 6 opulences? So there's a shloka that comes here. We'll look in this. This from a purport in one of the Bhagavatam verses, because this verse comes in Vishnu Puran. Prabhupada quotes this. Aishwaryasya samagrasya viryasya yashasha shriya jnana vairagayaschaiva shannam bhaga iti nangana. Right? These are the 6 shannam. Shannam means the six divisions of bhaga. What is they? First is Aishwaryasya, opulence. Right? One has richness. Then Viryasya, valor, chivalry. Yasha, fame. Shriya, beauty. Jnana, knowledge. And Vairagya, mean renunciation. So these 6 qualities are very attractive in this world. We are attractive to rich people. We are attracted to very chivalrous, courageous people, right? Brave people. We are attracted to the famous people. We are attracted to beauty. We are attracted by or amazed by people's knowledge. And those who are very renounced in this world, they also attracted. They also have some attraction. So he who possesses all beauty, Shriya, all wealth, Aishwarya, all power, Virya, all fame, Yasha, all knowledge, Jnana, and all renunciation, right? Vairagya. Living entities partake of this opulence in finite degrees. Prabhupada saying that Jivatmas have all these 6 things in finite qualities. Like, for example, if you say intelligence, you will think of Albert Einstein, very smart, right? But he doesn't have all the other things. He doesn't have beauty, he doesn't have power, he doesn't have renunciation or whatever. So we just have, like, part of this opulence. So therefore, say in finite degrees, Prabhupada saying. One may be famous in a family, in a town, in a country, or in a planet, but no one is famous throughout creation, as is Sri Krishna. So Krishna is Bhagavan because he has this 6 opulence in full, not in half. Some people are very beautiful, but they have no knowledge. Some people are very knowledgeable, but they have no beauty. Right? So it's like that. The leaders of the world may be famous for a few years only, but Lord Sri Krishna appeared 5,000 years ago and is still being worshipped. If you ask, who was the rock and roll star in the 60s or the 50s, people may not even remember, don't even know such people. But Krishna is one for 5,000 years. Pastimes have been narrated and relished. So one who possesses all 6 of these opulence in completeness is considered to be God. So this is the section that Prabhupada wants to explain about Bhagavan. Okay. Then Prabhupada continues. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna speaks to Arjuna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And as such, it is to be understood that he has complete knowledge. So Krishna is speaking Bhagavad Gita, so he has complete knowledge because he is all-knowing. Jnanam. Bhagavad Gita was imparted to the sun god and to Arjuna by Krishna. So this is the history of Bhagavad Gita being spoken is mentioned in the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita for the first 10 verses or 8 verses, where the history of this Bhagavad Gita, why Bhagavad Gita is spoken, who was it spoken to. So the very first verse of the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita here is mentioned. Krishna is telling to Arjuna that I spoke these signs earlier to Suryadev. Imam vivashvate yogam, son's name is Vivaswan. Proktavan aham avyayam Vivaswan manave praha. And Vivaswan, sun god, spoke to his son, Manu. Manur Ikshvaka Vepravet. And Manu spoke to his son, Ikshvaku, the king, the first king of all the solar dynasty. So like that, the history of Bhagavad Gita is also given here. So here Prabhupada says that Gita was given to sun god, given to Arjuna, but nowhere it is mentioned that Bhagavad Gita was imparted to Krishna. We don't hear that Krishna went to school and he learned his Bhagavad Gita. Krishna went to his college and he got the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita and like, oh, that's where Krishna got his knowledge from, No, we always hear Krishna is giving knowledge. So why we don't hear Krishna gets his knowledge from somewhere? Why, Prabhupada asks? Because complete knowledge means that he knows everything that is to be known. So he can speak because he knows everything. This is an attribute of God alone. Being that Krishna knows everything, Arjuna is putting this question, okay, to him about the fate of an unsuccessful yogi. There is no possibility of Arjuna to research the truth. He simply has to receive the truth from the complete source. And this is the system of disciplic succession. So God is so kind, God is so amazing that he has given complete knowledge, full knowledge. Because if he has created creation and he has given half-baked knowledge, that doesn't make sense, isn't it? Like if I manufacture a car and I just tell people how to drive the car, but I don't tell them how to stop, then what kind of manufacturer am I? Isn't it? I should tell them everything. So similarly, this world is created and all the knowledge that one needs to live in this world has been given by God in perfection. So sometimes some other people of other religion, they say, no, 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 no. We do not have all the knowledge. After death, when we go back, then we will get the full knowledge. So that means that doesn't make sense. That means God created this world with only half-baked knowledge. How dangerous that is. So in our Sanatana Dharma is not mentioned like that. God in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna even declares boldly, I have given you all knowledge, complete, out of which there is nothing further for you to know. Right? So let's see ahead. Krishna is complete and the knowledge that comes from Krishna is also complete. If Arjuna receives this complete knowledge and we receive it from Arjuna as it was spoken to him, then we also receive complete knowledge. And what is this knowledge? The Blessed Lord said, okay, O son of Pratha, a transcendentalist engage in auspicious activities, Kalyanakrit. So now, this end of this paragraph is what Prabhupada wants to write in the beginning of that in this paragraph. This translation of this word. Nahi Kalyanakrit kaschit. Right? So, O son of Pratha, a transcendentalist engage in auspicious activities, Kalyanakrit, does not meet with destruction. Nahi. He will not. Either in this world or in the spiritual world. One who does good, my friend, is never overcome by evil. So that means if a person is actually practicing yoga, you will never lose it. Here, Krishna indicates that the very striving for yoga perfection is the most auspicious attempt. That means anyone even trying to actually, understand Lord, serve Lord, or come close to God is itself very powerful. When one attempts something so auspicious, he is never degraded. There's a saying in English, hunting the white rhinoceros. If you go to Africa and you try to hunt a rhino, it's not easy to even spot one, let alone to hunt one. But if someone tries and fails, no one will, disgrace him because it's tough. So you're doing something which is very tough. You're amazing, even though you may not complete. That's what Krishna is saying here. Okay. So then next paragraph, Prabhupada writes, actually, Arjuna is asking a very appropriate and intelligent question. It is not unusual for one to fall down from the platform of devotional service. So here Prabhupada is saying that bhakti marg, the line of bhakti or the line of any transcendental process, it is not impossible or it's not uncommon that people find difficulties in practicing this very royal order. Right? Like they say, even they say that accidents even happen on a royal road. Royal road, still accidents can happen. So we have to be very real about this. One quotation I like to share. This is coming from the Katha Upanishad. This is in a purport again. Prabhupada quotes this sometimes. So it's a very nice verse. In some schools in India, you will find them to quote this first two lines. In some schools, they'll write, wake up, get up, and utilize the day, capture the day, or something they'll say like that. But actually it comes from this complete verse. So in Katha Upanishad, it mentions, Uttishta Jagrata Praptan Varan Nibodata Shurasya Dhara Nishita Duratyaya Durgam Patastat Kavayo Vadanti. Uttishta, get up. Jagrata, wake up. Not only get up, but wake up. Praptya Varan Nibodata. Utilize this human form of life. Capture what has been given you. Varan means Varada. That means you get some benediction. Utilize the benediction that has been given to you. So here Katha Upanishad is like practically screaming at the reader. Come on, get up, wake up. Utilize this benediction. What is the benediction that's given us? Human form of life. Shurasya dhara. Shura means blade. Dhara, the blade's edge. Shurasya dhara nishita duratyaya. Spiritual life is like this, a razor blade's edge. Imagine someone walking on a razor blade edge. One slip, you get cut. Right? For those of you who have male body, like we all who do shaving, we have this experience. Every shaving, there's some bleeding, isn't it? So, Shurasya dhara nishita duratyaya. Durgam patastat kavayo vadanti. The kavayo, the intelligent people, the learned scholars, they will call this path to be very difficult. What path? Path of self-realization. Having a human body, right? The most difficult thing we can do in life is not earning money. The most difficult thing you can do in life is not getting a PhD. The most difficult thing in doing in life is not getting married. The most difficult thing that you can do in life is not, getting 5, 10 children. The most difficult thing actually in life is to become self-realized. So someone who is very, inspired by, how to say, like challenges in life, the biggest challenge you can have in life is to become a devotee, right? And there's only greatness as we see ahead. So uttishta jagrata, praptya varan nibodhata. This is what the Shastras is screaming at us. Now let's continue. Sometimes a neophyte devotee does not keep the rules and regulations, right? Like we have the 4 principles which we have discussed before. No meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex, and no gambling. So sometimes neophyte means new devotees find it very difficult to follow all this. Sometimes he yields to intoxication or is trapped by some feminine attractions. For male, female, male. Nowadays it's even more complicated. But anyways, whatever it is. So here we can actually understand that the 4 vices, or the 4 pillars of adharma, meat eating, illicit sex, intoxication, and gambling, they're all actually connected to each other, right? They're all very much connected to each other because of meat eating, cruelty, right? Then naturally one also has a inclination for intoxication. Intoxication will lead to promiscuity, illicit sex, and to maintain all this, one needs to do gambling, quick money. So some people focus on quick money. Right? They think, no, I don't want to do all this. Let me just make quick money. Then they enter into scams, and they meet wrong people. Wrong people give them alcohol, give them drugs, intoxications. And with all these things, then slowly they get into illicit activities. So these 4, whether you choose one first, 2 second, whatever, they will always come as a package. That's for all 4 you have to be avoiding. If you just say, no, I'll do a little of one, all 4 will come. They are all interconnected, right? If some people say, no, I'm vegetarian, but I drink alcohol, I engage in illicit relationships, and I do gambling. So you will enter in some kind of violence. You may not kill animals, but some violence will be there, violence with each other, because cheating means you will fight, right? You will hurt. And illicit connections, there's always so much danger in that. So all these kind of things is violence only. So definitely the 4th principle will also come. So therefore, these 4 principles will always be together, right? We have to give them up. These are the impediments on the path of yoga perfection. But Sri Krishna gives an encouraging answer. God is so kind. He gives an encouraging answer. For he tells Arjuna that even if one sincerely cultivates only 1% worth of spiritual knowledge, he will never fall down into the material whirlpool. Right? It's very hope-giving. Srila Prabhupada, no? So kind. He says that just read my books, study my books, hear my lectures, and associate with me, associate with the devotees of ISKCON. And this is how we can safeguard our devotional service. So we need to do this every day. Hearing, chanting, engaging in some devotional service. This is the only way we can keep our heads above the water. Else, if we stop doing it, like those who done swimming, na? If you stop moving your legs while you're swimming, you will drown. You have to keep moving your legs to stay afloat. Bhakti is also like that. Right? Shravanam Kirtanam, Shravanam Kirtanam, Shravanam Kirtanam, then you stay afloat. So that is due to the sincerity of his effort. It should be always understood that we are weak and that the material energy is very strong. This is a fact. Sometimes, we practice bhakti and for a few years we have no issues and we're like, wow, I think I've become like Superman. I think I can do anything now. No, we must always remain very humble. That material energy is so powerful, so big. Anytime can just give us one slap on the face and we'll, fall somewhere else, left, right, center. So we should be very careful and worried about this Maya. Maya is very powerful. To adopt spiritual life is more or less to declare war against the material energy. Prabhupada loves to say this line. Taking up to the path of bhakti is you are declaring war on Maya. Now Maya is not going to keep quiet. Maya is like, oh, you're challenging me after millions of life of being my slave. You want to be freed? Are you ready? Are you that strong enough? Fine. And then we fall, right? So material energy is trying to entrap the conditioned soul as much as possible. Now, it's not that Maya is an evil lady or something like that. Maya is Durga only, energy of Lord, Krishna's sister. But this is her job. This is her seva. That as long as the jivas are not ready, jivas are not purified, they cannot go back to the spiritual world. We'll cause havoc there. So her job is to ensure that we become purified. And if a person is purified, she's like, okay, go, you're released. And when the conditioned soul tries to get out of her clutches by spiritual advancement of knowledge, material nature becomes more stringent and vigorous in her efforts to test, see here Prabhupada writes, how much the aspiring spiritualist is sincere. So when more difficulty comes for an aspiring devotee, more challenges, more, allurements come, it is actually the test. Maya is testing how sincere we are. The material energy of Maya will then offer more allurements, right? So the very things that we are trying to give up, the very things will come back into our face. So here Prabhupada wants to tell a story. In this regard, there's a story of Vishwamitra Muni, a great king, a Kshatriya. So actually, he was known as Vishwamitra. Before that, he was known as Kaushika Raja. So the Raja Kaushik was a king, a Kshatriya. He renounced his kingdom and took to the yoga process in order to become more spiritually advanced. So that time, Vishwamitra saw the power of Vashishta, being a Brahmana. And he then did severe tapasya to be elevated from a Kshatriya to Brahmana. He said, I want to be a Brahma Rishi. I'm tired or enough of being a Raja Rishi, a king. I want to be a Brahmana Rishi. So at that time, meditational yoga process was possible to execute. This was in Satya Yuga. Vishwamitra Muni meditated so intently. He was doing so deep, powerful meditation, trying to raise himself to Brahma Rishi level, that Indra, the king of the heaven, noticed him and thought, oh, this man is trying to occupy my post. He's becoming so pure, so powerful. Because of purity, what it takes to be an Indra, you need purity. So he's becoming so pure, he'll become the next Indra. So the current Indra became a little insecure. The heavenly planets are also material and there is competition, right? For us, heaven and hell is also part of the material world. We want to go back home, back to Godhead, which is spiritual. No businessman wants another businessman to exceed him. Fearing that Vishwamitra Muni would actually depose him, Indra sent one heavenly society girl, an Apsara, named Menaka, to allure him sexually. Menaka was naturally very beautiful and she was intent on disrupting the Muni's meditations to disturb Vishwamitra. Indeed, he became aware of her feminine presence upon hearing the sound of her bangles or ankles, whatever, ankle bells, whatever. And he immediately looked up from his meditation. So he's doing meditation, some sound came. And then he opened his eyes and he was like, what? And when he saw her, became captivated by her beauty. This is an interesting section. So generally when we discuss this, there's some rules or some, sutras that we teach people. It is generally known that men fall by their eyes, right? Men fall because of their eyes. They see some pretty object, some beautiful thing, and without even thinking much or hearing about it, they fall for it. And girls, women, they fall by their ears. When they hear sweet sounds, sweet singing, sweet speaking, and the person may don't look very nice, or the person may have bad intent, but if they're able to speak sweet words, sweet poetry, shairi, whatever, that capture the girl's heart. Right? So men fall because of eyes. You need to beautify things, then guys get fall for it. For girls, they fall because of their ears. So here we see the situation of Vishwamitra Muni. He fall because of his eyes. As a result, the beautiful Shakuntala was born by their conjugation. When Shakuntala was born, Vishwamitra lamented, oh, I was just trying to cultivate spiritual knowledge and again I have been entrapped. He became remorseful, regretful. He was about to flee, run away from there, when Menaka brought his beautiful daughter before him and chastised him. Hey, you already got a daughter, where are you going? Stay. But despite her pleading, Vishwamitra resolved. He was very determined enough and he left anyway. Right? So, thus there is every chance of failure on the yogic path. Very real, no? Prabhupada speaking this. Even a great sage like Vishwamitra Muni can fall due to the material allurement. That he is such a great sage, then what are we? We should be very careful. Therefore, they say, be be conscious of Krishna and cautious of Maya. Be conscious of Krishna and be cautious of Maya. Right? Always think of Krishna and be careful of Maya. Although the Muni fell for the time being, he again resolved to go on with the yoga process. And this should be our resolve. We should also, even though mistake happen, setbacks happen, still we should continue. Another similar story which is mentioned in Puran is one time Indra saw another rishi who was meditating and he felt that, how to disturb him. So he came down and he kept a sword, one talwar, a sword beside the Muni. And this Muni was meditating, and after he finished his meditation, he woke up and said, "Oh, what a shiny sword. Who has kept it here? Whoever has kept it, they will come back and take it. No problem. I have nothing to do with it." And he started meditating. 1, 2 weeks pass, 3 weeks pass, and the Muni is thinking. So one day the Muni wants to cook something and he sees it's firewood. He needs to cut the wood. He says, "Oh, that sword is there." He starts taking the sword. Firewood is cut. He says, "Very handy. Let me keep it here side." And then next day when he was traveling, he wanted to sleep the place, and the place was filled with grass. So he took the sword again, cut, and he cleaned the area. And he said, "Oh, very handy, very helpful." He kept it. Slowly, he became attached to wielding the sword. And for everything, walking, cutting, clearing area, poking, lifting, he was using the sword for everything. So much so he became so accustomed to it, he started killing animals also. Right? So that's what Indra tried to do. Yeah. Whatever happens, we should have a resolve to continue the path of bhakti. Krishna informs us that such failures should be not a cause of despair. The famous proverb that failure is the pillar of success. See how motivating Prabhupada is, right? In the spiritual life, failure is not discouraging. Therefore, sometimes in our spiritual circles also, we find devotees who had been practicing for some time and they could not make it, and they just, they had a slip. We won't say a fall, a slip. Again, they come back. Still, we honor them. But then the other devotees are saying, "Hey, this person did what and what, Look at the overall picture. Life is not going to be easy in bhakti. A person had some slip, but still, we can encourage that person, continue." So this is the nature of Vaishnavas, right? That we know all of us are like fighting in the battle, and someone will get scars, someone will get shots, someone will get a broken leg, someone will get a broken hand. But we have to stay together, band of brothers, and continue the fight for emancipation from the material world. Right? Krishna very clearly states that even if there is failure, there is no loss either in this world or in the next. Right? So there's a beautiful verse in Bhagavad Gita which speaks about this. This is the 2nd chapter, 40th verse. Neha vikrama nasho asti pratyavayo na vidyate swalpam api asya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. That Krishna is saying there is no loss or diminution for one who has practiced this bhakti. Even if you do 1%, next life you can start back at 1%. If you do 10%, next life you start back at 10. You'll never lose what you have done. You'll never lose what you have done. But trayate mahato bhayat. It can save you from the greatest dangers. And in this purport, Prabhupada writes, the greatest danger is gliding down to lower species, becoming an animal in next life. So here, one who takes to this auspicious line of spiritual culture is never completely vanquished. Now, what actually happens to the unsuccessful spiritualist? So, okay, fine, that's fine. He never loses his credits. But then what happens to him? So Krishna specifically explains what will happen to such a person. Praptya punya kritam lokan ushitva shashvate samaha suchinam shrimatam gehe yoga brashto vijayate. So he says such a person, punya kritam, some person who has done so much of bhakti, right? Such a person, what happens? They will take birth in the Suchinam, family of Suchi. Suchi means pure. Suchi means pure. Suchi means pure people, means the Brahmanas. Shrimatam, rich people, aristocrat, good Vaishya family, good Kshatriya family. So if one who has done some bhakti will appear in families which have good culture, like Brahmana family, Brahmanical family, or they will born in rich family where they'll have all opportunities and facilities to take up to bhakti. Then he continues to say, Atava yoginam eva kule bhavati dhimatam etadhi durlapataram loke janma yat idrisham. But atava, there's another person who is better in spiritual life, they will not appear in the Suchi or the Srimati family, but they will appear in the family of Yoginam. They will appear in family of yogis. That means they'll appear in devotee family, right? Kule bhavati dhimatam. They'll get such devotee families. But this is also durlabha taram, very rare, right? So like that. Let's see the translation. The unsuccessful yogi, after many, many years of enjoyments on the planets of the pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people, Suchinam, or into a family of rich aristocracy, Srimatam. Or he takes birth in a family of transcendentalists who are surely great in wisdom, Yoginam. Right? So sometimes we see in this world also people born into royalty. Someone think, how we born into royalty? We do not know what past life. They must have been some yogis who were meditating in the Himalayas. And then now they become the daughter or the son of some royal family. Verily, such birth is rare in this world, right? To appear in the yogi family, especially devotee family. So here Prabhupada goes on to explain, there are many planets in the universe, and on the higher planets, there are greater comforts. The duration of life is longer, and the inhabitants are more religious and godly. Since it is said that 6 months on earth equals to 1 day in the higher planets, the unsuccessful yogi stays on the higher planets for many, many years. Vedic literatures describe their lifetime as lasting 10,000 years. So even if one is a failure, he is promoted to the higher planets. So someone doing yoga here, bhakti here, if one fails, he may get in the higher planets. But for us devotees, we don't want that also. One time Srila Prabhupada told, no? Many of my disciples will become demigods because so pure life you're living, chanting the holy names every day, following the principles. But if you're not successful in getting Shuddha Bhakti, Krishna Prem, then there's every chance that next life we may have to go up to the Swargalokas and then again come down. But for how long? After 10,000 years. By the time that ISKCON will not be there, this Swarna Yuga, Prabhupada says this golden age is only there for 10,000 years. After 10,000 years, of which 500 have already passed. So after 9,500 years, there will be Ghor Kali Yuga, horrible age of Kali Yuga continuing. But one cannot remain there perpetually. When the fruits of the results of one pious activities expire, right? Shine Punye, as mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, Shine Punye Mrityalokam Vishanti. He has to return to earth. When one's fruits of piety have gone, one again has to return to his material world. Yet, even upon returning to this planet, the unsuccessful yogi meets with fortunate circumstances, for he takes birth in either a very rich or pious family. So such a person also, even after coming down, again, good chance, may be born into some Ambani family or something, we don't know, right? Where all facilities are given in young. So Prabhupada says, generally, according to the law of karma, if one enacts pious deeds, he is rewarded in the next life by birth into a very aristocratic family or into a very wealthy family. Or he becomes a great scholar, or he be born very beautiful. These are all lakshan, these are all characteristics to know that a person has been very pious. A person is born beautiful, a person is born smart, a person is born into a good family, a person is born rich family. These are all good qualities. So in the contrary, if people is born not looking very good, not very smart, poor, or not a good family, then one can understand that it's because of past life, some sin. In any case, Prabhupada saying, whatever it may be, those who sincerely begin spiritual life are guaranteed human birth in next life. Right? So those who have done some bhakti, hearing the name of Hari, taking Hari Prasad, they at least will become human in next life. So someone hearing this might say, oh, okay, I don't have to chant now anymore. I'll become human. Yeah, human also, you may be what kind of a human? You may be handicapped human, poor human, diseased human, isn't it? So why risk next life? So then Prabhupada says, not only human birth, but birth into either a very pious or wealthy family. Thus, one with such a good birth should understand that his fortune is due to his previous pious activities and to God's grace. So what do you think? People who are born in rich family, good family, sometimes all facilities in life, do they actually feel that, oh, it's because of my past life? Right? No. These facilities are given by the Lord, who are always willing to give us the means to attain him. Krishna simply wants to see that we are sincere. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that every particular person has his own duty in life, regardless of his position and regardless of his society. If, however, someone gives up his prescribed duty, his dharma, and somehow either out of sentiment or association of or craziness or whatever, takes shelter of Krishna, and if due to his immaturity falls down from the devotional path, still there is no loss for him. We'll explain this. Basically, if someone, is like a son or a father or a wife or somebody, and he just gives up all his worldly duties out of sentiment, out of powerful association of devotees, or out of craziness or whatever, still, and then later, after practicing bhakti, he falls down. There is no loss. So this is the shloka that comes. This is spoken by Narada Muni to Vyasadeva, first canto, 5th chapter, 17th verse. Tyaktva swadharmam, person who has given up his swadharma, his duty. Like many people nowadays in the world say, hey, should do your duty, don't give up anything. But this verse is saying that even if you give up your duty, Tyaktva swadharmam charanambujam hare, given up everything and just taken shelter of Hari, bhajan apakvo, Hindi they say pakane, but they're not complete, apakvo. And but your bhajan is not right. Right? Your bhajan is kacha. Your bhajan is unright. Tapate tato yadi, and you fall down because of that. Yatra kvava bhadrama buddha mushakim ko varta apta bhajatam swadharmata. What is the loss of such a person? My God, he has hunted the white rhino. Person who has given up everything, tried for the lotus feet of Hari, but could not maintain, still he is glorious. Although the world, the today's material world, will look down on him, still from the eyes of Krishna, he is glorious. On the other hand, if a person executes his duties perfectly, but does not approach God, so someone does all his duty of a son, duty of a husband, duty of this, duty of that, so dutiful, that doesn't mean that God will take you. What does he earn? Narad Muni is saying, if he does not activate his bhakti, then what's the use of such a person? His life is indeed without benefit. But a person who has approached Krishna is better situated, even though he may fall down from the yogi platform. So therefore, bhakti, although it may be quite difficult, raises age, but we encourage everyone to take up the bhakti. Even if you do it for 1 day, 2 days, 1 week, 1 month, and later you just don't like it and I don't want to be a devotee anymore. But still, what you have done, that will save you from the greatest things, greatest problems in the world. Krishna further indicates that all good families to be born into, families of successful merchants or philosophers or meditators, 3 kinds of things, right? Suchinam, Shrimatam, Yoginam. So either Shrimatam, successful merchants, right? Or Suchinam, good families, or Yoginam. Out of these 3, which is better? So here Prabhupada says, one who takes birth in a very rich family may be misled, right? Sometimes it's spoiled brat, spoiled son of a rich man. It is normal for a man who has given great riches to try to enjoy those riches. Thus, rich man's sons often becomes drunkards or prostitute hunters. People born in rich family, generally they lose their character. Although actually they got that position because of good character only. That's how they're born in rich family, but then they end up losing their character. Similarly, one who has taken birth in a pious family, a Suchi family, or in a Brahmanical family, often becomes very puffed up and proud, thinking that I am a Brahmana, I am a pious man. Right? This also we see some people born in aristocracy. They say, oh, our family is very high class. We don't mix with you people, low class. Right? This just creates pride, and with pride, you cannot approach Krishna. Although they forgot that they got that position. Maybe last life they were some laborer or some, helper. And somehow they did bhakti, and God said that I'll give you more facility. Next life they born in a Brahmana, so they can at least recite mantras and do puja. And naturally they're born with it. But they become artificially proud. So there is chance of degradation in both rich and pious families. Both are horrible. There's a chance for deviation. But one who takes birth in a family of yogis or devotees has much better chance of cultivating again that spiritual life, which he has fallen. So devotees, they will not pray that, my Lord, if I have to take birth, let me born in a Suchinam or Shrimatam. They say no. Let me born in a Yoginam. Let me born in a devotee family. Krishna tells Arjuna, Tatratam buddhi sanyogam labhyate paurvadehikam yatate chatato bhuya samsito gurunandana. On taking such a birth, he again revives the divine association of his previous life and tries to make further progress in order to achieve complete success, O son of Kuru. Being born in a family of those who execute yoga or devotional service, one remembers his spiritual activities executed in his previous life. So there are many devotees, that they find very easy or familiar with doing puja and some mantras. It all could be previous lives. Anyone who takes to Krishna conscious seriously is not an ordinary person. He must have taken to the same process in his previous life. Why is it so? Purvabhyasena tenaiva hriyate hyavasopi saha. So we see sometimes people come to Krishna conscious 1 week, start chanting 16 rounds, 4 regulative principles. It all means that they have some baggage left over from previous life. That's how they become devotee very quick. By virtue of the divine consciousness of his previous life, he automatically becomes attracted to the yogic principles, even without seeking them. Naturally, the person is a bit renounced, a bit detached, right? Naturally. In the material world, we have experienced that we do not carry our assets from one life to another, isn't it? If you're a millionaire in this life, does not mean you'll be a millionaire in the next life. I may have millions of dollars in this bank, but as soon as my body is finished, my bank balance is also finished. At death, the bank balance does not go with me. It remains in the bank to be enjoyed by somebody else. This is not the case with spiritual culture. Even if one enacts a small amount of on the spiritual platform, swalpam api asya dharmasya, he takes that with him to his next life and he picks up again from that point. See how bhakti is actually the eternal investment. Everyone likes to do investments to increase their bank balance, but you put, you lose it. But bhakti is that bank where you keep putting and you keep earning more and more. When one picks up this knowledge that was interrupted, he should know that he should now finish the balance and complete the yogic process. So when one starts to pick up suddenly again bhakti is like, oh, let me finish it in this life now. One should not take the chance of finishing up the process in another birth. Don't think that, let me take another lifetime, but should resolve to finish it in this life. Because who knows, what we're going to become. We should be determined in this way. Now here Prabhupada gives a meditation. So we can remember this meditation. Somehow or other in my last life, I did not finish my spiritual cultivation. Now Krishna has given me another opportunity. So let me finish it up in this life. Thus, after leaving this body, one will not again take birth in this material world where birth, old age, disease, and death are omnipresent, but will return to Krishna. One who takes shelter under the lotus feet of Krishna sees the material world simply as a place of danger. There's a verse that comes in Bhagavatam. Padam padam yat vipadam natesham. Every step in this material world is vipad, is a dangerous place, isn't it? Some people are sitting down quietly, one coconut falls and hits them on the head, gone. Some people are just sitting in the car, nothing's happening, and suddenly the place where they are sitting, only one accident happens and he only dies. Happens like that. For one who takes to spiritual culture, this material world is actually unfit. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, Srila Prabhupada spiritual master, used to say, this place is not fit for a gentleman. And factually, we see this material world is filled with danger, filled with violence. Even if you look in nature, it's filled with violence. This world is a violent place. It's not a gentleman place. So therefore, Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur will say, this material world is not a place for gentlemen. Once one has approached Krishna and has attempted to make spiritual progress, Krishna, who is situated in the heart, begins to give directions. It's amazing. In the Gita, Sri Krishna says that for one who wants to remember him, he gives remembrance. And for one who wants to forget him, he allows him to forget. This is the verse 15:15, chapter 15, verse 15. So he sits in the heart, Sarvasya chaham hirdi sannivishto. And from him what comes? Mataha smritir jnanam apohanam cha. Knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness all come from God. And the Lord sits in the heart. Ishvara sarva bhutanam hriddeshe Arjuna tishati brahmayan sarva bhutani. He is directing all living entities sitting in the heart. Right? Giving them forgetfulness, giving them remembrance as per their desire. If someone wants to forget God, God says, okay, fine. Take your birth in some Amazon jungle or some Siberian tundra or somewhere, some corner of the world where there's no devotees. And you try to enjoy separate from him. Someone prays that, my Lord, may I always be your devotee. God says, okay, you want to remember me? Fine. Born in the family of a devotee. So like this, a very powerful, beautiful chapter. What happens if one is unsuccessful in spiritual life? No worries. Continue. Just have to have a result determination. Even if there's a little slips or falls, one should get back on the horse, right? And continue the chase and the ride of this beautiful process of bhakti. And similarly, we can understand if someone has some difficulty, we should help people, be compassionate, not judgmental, because we understand how just, dangerous this is. Like shaving example, So when guys, we see each other shave, sometimes a guy gets a cut and we're like, oh, how you got a cut? Why are you so stupid? Why you could not take care of yourself? How you don't jump? Oh, you got a cut? It happens. Here, take some alum or take some this thing, powder or whatever, and just get it over with. Forget about it. Continue. Isn't it? We don't stop shaving. Right? So we'll stop here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.